goes on. Okay. Right, so for this one, I've not really got a great sort of plan in place. Seeing as you all had boons, maybe not granted, but preferred by the Graf, I figured that we'd maybe make some progress down those sort of storylines that have been established.
Sounds good.
Yeah. So I guess a bit like that second session we did when we first got to Middenheim, where everyone sort of was doing their own separate thing. This will be, I guess, a little bit similar. So feel free to fade in and out if you aren't necessarily active, but that's entirely up to you. You're obviously more than welcome to be present for the whole thing. I'm not going to force you out. That would be rude. Let's see.
What was the name of the guy?
That's a great question. What was the name of the guy?
Who kept being like, yeah, you get him, boys. It's like, keep it down. In like the music theater or whatever. Was it Clyde? It'll be Clyde now. Clyde will come back. Sexier and more handsome than ever.
I was going to say also, I mean, I know we are down a hiker, but also it could be worthwhile us having a bit of a meeting as a group who works together well and coming up with some idea as to why we want to keep working together and having some party goals. Because I don't have any party goals written in here.
Just kind of there for a good time.
Yeah, basically. I mean, I know I've rocked up, late, so some of you might have the same party goals, but also...
Yeah, I don't think anyone's got any party goals. I'm pretty sure all the party goals were achieved a while ago.
Yeah, working out some party goals.
You guys suck slightly less than the people that I usually hang around with, so that's fine.
I mean, that's true.
Who do you usually hang around with?
Just myself. Bit of a shit bloke, honestly.
Alrighty. So I've got a couple of sort of, I guess, dot points here that I'll guess, just slowly work through. So the first one that we're going to tackle is Ulrich.
Oh no.
So I'm going to say that roughly 2-3 days have passed since you had an audience with the Graf and were granted your rewards. I don't know if you actually saw what they were. Did you see the session notes for that? 'Cause I didn't tell you at the time. I made it a secret.
No, I haven't seen it yet.
You should go check out your session notes because I didn't add it into your purses.
How do we get back to session?
You can go check on the campaign website as well because I've chucked them up there. If that's easier.
Graf promised to use what he had said.
Today's adventure.
Oh, that's right. He did give us a silver pouch.
God damn.
Mm.
So we got like what? 20 gold now?
It's not a small amount of gold that you were given because let's be fair, the Graf doesn't understand he's one of the wealthiest men in the Empire. He's not going to truly understand.
How much does a banana cost?
How much does a banana cost? Exactly.
Somewhere Rain has just like taken off all his clothes and just walked out into a blizzard, never to be returned.
No, did you
Holy
not?
shit, 15 gold.
Yeah.
And then another gold each.
You got another gold.
You guys, yeah, I didn't, but you got, yeah, that's right.
So it's not a small amount of gold that he's bequeathed, and then obviously a favour as well, which is a big deal.
18 gold.
The favour is what I'm very excited about.
Yeah, the favour's good stuff.
I'm very excited about the favour.
We're rich.
But I actually had come up with a sort of story for how Rain fared.
If he's dead, that's fine.
He's 100% dead.
Wow.
100%. So you know how you said that he'd received a missive from his home, and he was to return to Steelek Manor to help. I think it was take out some like orcs or goblins or something.
Something like that.
Something like that. Anyway, so
Wild men in the north.
yeah, he went back there, and he sort of wowed all of the people of Steelek Manor with his tales of what he's been up to, and the Graf was moderately impressed. And was like, right, well, I need you to go and drive out these men. Here's a horse. Here's a whole bunch of men to take with you. Off you go. And so you were commanded to lead this, maybe not like a squad of knights, but a squad of mounted infantrymen off to go and deal with this threat. And you were immediately shot off your horse upon charging the line.
That makes so much sense. And I tell you right now, he failed probably 6 rolls getting to that point.
Yeah, quite likely.
The horse ran over his body as
Yeah,
he got shot.
I probably didn't even get shot. The horse just bucked. Just broke my neck on impact. That's beautiful. Once a peasant, always a peasant. That's the story here.
So just
How's all good. You go.
no, what were you going to say?
I was going to ask how's Helmut going?
Helmut, I mean, he's thriving in the city. He's started to work with the Ratters Guild. He's, there's lots of sewers in Middenheim.
That's true. Yeah.
It's a big city, and the Ratters in Middenheim are as important, if not more important, than they were in Ubersreich.
There you go.
Seeing as if you look back into Middenheim's history, there was, I think, during the big plague that wiped out a bunch of people, they were the only city that properly survived it.
Okay.
Because
nice.
they just sealed off the city essentially.
Yeah.
And then, because if I remember my Warhammer lore correctly, immediately following the plague, there was a massive invasion of Skaven, and Middenheim was standing alone against the Skaven, and the Ratters Guild in particular were very important in checking the sewers to make sure that no Skaven were getting in to the sewer systems.
Yeah.
So the Ratters Guild are held in quite high esteem here in Middenheim. So you're doing fine. Oh,
Yeah.
Helmut is doing fine, I should say.
No, that's great. Cool.
And Ulrich is still not Ulrich. Bron is still running his bar.
Oh,
Elsewhere. He's about to open a franchise.
Is he?
Yeah, not here in Middenheim, but
I was going to say a cross-dimensional,
a pan-dimensional franchise. Yeah.
pan-dimensional franchise. Yeah.
They're called Ales Good. It's a slight upgrade.
It's always Elsewell. No matter what dimension or game you play in, it's always Elsewell.
It is. That is true. It's been in Cthulhu in 1890s London. It's been in 4th ed D&D.
Yep.
The hot mess that is.
The absolute delight that 4th ed was.
Why would you play acoustic WoW? Seriously.
Such a description.
I think you broke Nick then.
Look, I'm just very happy.
Alrighty. So, we're going to start with Ulrich's sort of boon that was granted.
Ah, sick.
So, it's about 3 days after you met with the Graf at his garden party. The rest of his birthday festival passed without incident. And you've spent, the latter part of the day you met him and the following day drinking and enjoying the festivities and enjoying Middenheim to its fullest. You've not really spent that much time within the city since you've gotten here. So you've taken the time to sort of explore. You've one of the places that you've ended up exploring quite a bit, Ulrich, is the Dwarven Engineers Guild and the Dwarven Guild of, I think it's the Grand Guild of Architects, I think is what it's called. Let me just double check for you. The Guild of Stonemasons and Architects.
Guild of Stonemasons and Architects. Nice. Tell me, is it fine dwarven stonemasoning or Umgak stonemasoning?
It is Ungak, definitely.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine. That's Fine. Okay.
because
I was done by call.
you will find that the all dwarven masons will join the engineers guild instead.
Ah, I see.
You
Because
spent you spent an equal amount of time at both.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they're better, so.
Yeah, and they're quite nearby each other as well. So
Oh, okay.
so yeah, like you've been spending a bit of time there. So about 3 days pass, and then you guys were still staying at you and Gehenna, I think it was, were still staying at the Bernabeu Stadium, correct?
Yep. Correct.
So about 3 days later, you called out from your room that you're staying in by Jablinski, and he says, "Friend dwarf, there is a royal page here for you."
Oh. What do you mean, Lottie?
He's wearing the crest of the Duke's household. I think he has missive for you.
What about the Duke's household want anything to do with? Oh. All right. Hang on, let me get my finest attire. I can put on my fine clothes.
Nice. I mean, you don't need to, but sure.
Yeah, and I'll hop up and be like, all right, take me to him.
So he leads you down to the main entrance of the stadium, and this young boy, probably about 11, 12, wearing a page's courtly attire, is standing there. And he says, "Oh, are you Master Ulrich?"
Hey, that is I, lad. What can I do for you?
Oh, I've
I
got-
say to him at eye level.
Yeah, well, you would be about. He hands you a note. He says, "This is from His Royal Ducal Highness the Graf. The information for you in regards to well, he did tell me, but I've surely forgotten, sir. Something to do with dwarves."
Hey, dwarves, laddie. All right, let me have a look at that. And I can't make a grabbing sound, but imagine I make a grabbing sound.
Sure. Well, he hands it over. And then he stands there sort of expectantly, sort of looking at you.
Hey, sure. And I pull out a silver coin.
Cool.
And I'll just ding it on over to him.
He catches it in midair, bows to you, and then trots off in the direction of the palace.
Don't spend it all at once now, laddie. That's a fine shilling you got there. Oh. Feels bad. I love that money. All right, let's open this bad boy.
Okay, you open it. You can't read.
See, it appears to use words. I'm gonna scratch my head briefly, turn it upside down to see if I'm holding it the wrong way up.
Okay.
Does it look more like a photo or something, or like a picture, like drawn picture, and I was just holding it upside down? Or
No,
is this...
it's definitely, you can recognize it as handwriting, and there's the odd word that you recognize from things that you know. So you've read enough warning, like missing persons notices and wanted posters to recognize the odd word here or there. And you know a couple of words in Khazalid, like written in certain runes, you would recognize, but not heaps.
I will swear in Khazalid, and then go over to... I'm assuming there's someone here that could read in this massive...
Where are you, Nick? You're in a stadium full of pit fighters and murderers. I'm gonna take a wild guess and assume that no one there can read.
Okay. Maybe I will take a quick jaunt to the Engineers Guild.
Sure.
That sounds like people who can read.
Indeed.
Yeah. And then I'll try and be like, hello, can one of you decipher it, fellow dwarven fellows? Not at all racist, I can't read.
Alrighty, so, 12, we are here. This is the Dwarven Engineers Guild down here. So it's a relatively short wander through the city.
Yeah, I'll just hop on in.
Cool. Alright, so
is there like a receptionist?
So let me pull up the information about the Dwarven Engineers Guild. It is a rather unobtrusive building on the Vendenbahn.
Yes.
Unlike the Guild of Stonemasons and Architects, it is not ornate or elaborate. It is, as I've said before, unobtrusive. They rely on their reputation alone. They don't need to be showy.
Yeah.
So you wander on in. There is no receptionist as such. There's sort of like as you walk through the doors, you find yourself in what looks like a planning room. Like there's a big table and lots of dwarves sort of coming hither and yon, and there's you can see that like whilst there's this big table in the center, there's like multiple different like plans on it, and clearly like people are just using I'm going to use a corner over here for my plans, and another person's on the other opposite corner using that corner for their plans, and people coming out of side rooms and whatnot. Yeah. So you wander in, and one of the dwarves spots you and says, "Oh, there, is it Ulrich? I take it. I think we met the other day."
Hey, friend dwarf. What was his name? I think I wrote it down.
You have not. You've not met this. Well, you have met this dwarf, but you've not met this dwarf in session.
Oh, okay, never mind.
Yeah.
I'll just be like, hey, Master Dwarf, I believe we may have met. Who's this fucking dwarf? Who the hell is this guy?
His name is oh god, I had a name written down and everything. Wait, hang on, let me find it.
He is nameless dwarf of his clan, dwarf.
Oh yeah, no, that's a different dwarf that I've got written down there. That's fine. His name is Gunnar Snorrison.
Jeez, what?
Gunnar, Gunnar. Snorrison.
Snorrison.
Yeah, so son of Snorri.
Yes. Snorri's. Okay.
Snorri's son.
I like that.
Yeah.
I can dig that.
That is a dwarvish name if ever I picked one.
Aye.
So, what can I do for you, laddie?
Well, I have a bit of a request, if I may, and I'm going to pull out the note. Just be like, now, trust me when I say I deal with, more the action-packed side of things, and I'm going to flex slightly in my fine clothing.
Mm-hmm.
He probably won't see it, but
No, he won't, but that's fine.
The more academic side of life, I don't really deal with that. So I was wondering if you could just have a look at this for me and tell me what it might say. If you would be so kind.
He looks at you and he says, "Are you trying to tell me, laddie, that you can't read?"
No.
There's no shame in it. There's no shame. It's alright. I only learnt in the last 50 years myself.
I'm gonna look around the room. How many people are watching me for an answer?
Roll a perception test. Average.
Where's the stat? Up there. Damn.
No one's really paying you any mind other than Gunnar.
Okay, I'm just gonna try and hold to it. Well, I can't really read. I've not taken the interest in it. Lad. I mean.
That's fine. I assume this is. And when he takes it from you and looks at it, yes, bloody human speech. I understand it now. Dwarven runes. Fair enough. I've been reading that since I was a wee lad. But
hey, there's beauty to it, lad. Not like this scrolling before you. You know what I mean.
I understand. And he pulls out a pair of reading glasses and pops them on. And he has a look and he says, "Aye, right, this is a letter here from the Graf himself. Looks like it's been, I don't know if it's necessarily been handwritten by him, but it's definitely signed by him. It says here that if you were to present this to the head priest at the Chapel of Grungni, and he should be able to help you investigate your clan's history." Do you not know your clan's history, lad?
Look, long story, laddie. I mean, we didn't necessarily lose it, but we may have lost it. Just on the way, yeah.
That's fine. There's plenty of lost folk here. It's all right. When you sort of become built into the society of the the empire of mankind, you kind of forget that we were a free folk at one point.
Hey, we were at one point, were we not, eh?
And technically we still are, but you know how it is. When you live within the society with the manlings, they all think that you're just a part of it. They don't think that you're separate.
Aye, they're all 6 feet tall, if you know what I'm saying, laddie. Ha!
Aye, especially the 6 foot tall ones.
Aye. Alright, well thank you for your time, lad. I'll be off then. Best meet with this young priest on this, who knows how old he is.
Young
Oh,
priest, I'll tell you, lad, he's an old priest, that man.
old
I can tell you where he is. He's right next door. You've walked right past it on the way here.
I'm gonna walk outside and take a look at the sign, which I cannot read, and be like, well, that one.
There's no sign.
Damn it.
Just to be...
Is there like any indication of a chapel?
No, not at all.
Oh damn it. I'm just gonna look around confused. Just be like, lad, you out of your mind. There's no chapel here.
He's like,
What are you talking about?
come on, laddie. This is a dwarven chapel. You think it'd really be upstairs where all the humans can have a look at it? And he walks across the road, across the Venden barn, to a unremarkable door, just directly opposite. And he pushes it open, and there's a tunnel leading down into the mountainside.
Hello.
Down there, laddie, that's the chapel of Grungni.
This is good shit right here, laddie. And I will excitedly take my note and begin descending the stairs.
Marvelous. So you wander into the chapel of Grungni. It is quite busy. There's a lot of dwarves here.
Interesting.
Some you... And, like, obviously accents vary depending on region. So some have the sort of harder accent that you recognise of the dwarves who live in Middenheim. There are some who've got more of a softer accent, similar to your own, who are from, like, the south part of the Empire or from, like, the Grey Mountains. There are some with accents that are so strong that you can barely make them out, and you recognise that they might actually be Norscan dwarves.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Interesting.
There's dwarves from all over the place here.
Huh.
So as you enter the antechamber, you are greeted by a massive statue of Grungni.
It's almost 4 feet tall.
It is bigger than that.
Is it like a 10-foot tall statue?
Yes.
God damn. We know how to do it.
Yeah. It's a big old statue of Grungni just leaning on his pick.
Wise.
I mean, he is the dwarven god of mining, so that makes sense.
I like him. I like this. I like this guy.
So
Go into him.
you wander around, and like, whilst you were never the most religious of dwarves in your upbringing, you definitely were taught all the your common prayers to your Grungni, Grimnir, and Valaya. And something about being inside this temple, or inside this chapel, is sort of like plucking at like some sort of nostalgia heartstrings for you. As I said, you're not a religious dwarf, but you can't help but feel sort of a bit caught up in the mysticism of it all whilst you're in here.
Yep. Is it what's the word? Is it like, does it look the same as kind of in the Grey Mountains? Like, it's kind of got that same architecture underground?
Very similar. It's not quite the same, but it is very similar.
Yeah.
The type of rock that this mountain is made of is different, so there's different quality to it. Like, the light catches differently here than it would in, say, the chapel that you would have remembered in Karak Asgaraz, or even the chapel that existed in Ubersreich, which you very rarely visited. But, yeah, like, it's definitely pretty similar.
Interesting.
And so you're wandering around, and you overhear one of the dwarves sort of, they've just finished a prayer, and they've moved off, and you can hear them say, "Oh, this is almost as grand as the grand temple for Grungni in Karakas Karak." And they move off, and you're like, "Oh, okay, that's a big deal."
Yeah.
And eventually you make your way up to the sort of main altar area. And there's an old dwarven priest there. He's missing an arm.
Oh, yeah.
And he looks very stern.
He's gonna love me.
And so he approaches you and he says, "Hello there, Master Dwarf. I don't believe I've seen you here before."
Oh, hey, hello there, priest man. The name's Ulrich. I came at the behest of I suppose, a friend at this point. Just to inquire a few things about me heritage and me ancestry. You seem like a fine fella to be asking that kind of question to.
He sort of looks you up and down and says, "A dwarf who don't know his heritage, eh?"
Aye, well, my clan at some point fell, and I haven't quite kept up with the rest of that. I'm more of a move-in action man myself. Again, light flex.
What's your clan's name, son?
My clan's name is Brintok.
Brintok, eh? Aye, strong name.
Oh yeah, good.
I suppose you want to look in the Book of Grudges, is that what you're saying?
What is the Book of Grudges?
Ho ho ho! Roll for me, please, a Lord Dwarves.
Oh yes!
I'm going to say this is an average one. You should know what the Book of Grudges is, but...
Okay, right. Well,
Like
it's...
a dwarf Bible, right?
It's basically a dwarf Bible. Oh, it's a critical success.
Oh,
There we go.
Okay.
There we go.
All right. So, the Book of Grudges, each clan has their own one. There's also a grand Book of Grudges that the Dwarven High King has. And essentially, every time anyone besmirches the clan's honor, or an individual of the clan's honor, or, reneges on a deal or whatever, it goes in the Book of Grudges. And they will hold a grudge against that person until such time as the grudge has been cleared. It's kind of like a living history of the Dwarvish people.
Very cool.
Because they don't really have any other tomes or books. This is really how they keep their history. Is they keep a track of everyone who they hold a grudge against.
All right, listen here, you fucking asshole. No, you're the asshole. Can we both be assholes? In the book.
In the book it goes.
Right, I see. Okay.
Yeah.
Hey, well, I suppose that's a good place to start, laddie.
May I have a look at that there note you've got there?
And I'll pass him the Umgard note.
He looks at it. Ah, from the Graf's office himself, it seems.
Hey, is that a problem?
No, we have no issue with the Graf here. We're whilst we are definitely a separate and individual people, we respect the Graf's family and what they've done for us dwarven kind here in Middenheim.
Good. Hey, wonderful.
Whilst he doesn't necessarily have political sway, he does us great honour, and we like to return that when we can. So I've no problem with accepting this as reason to look in the Book of Grudges. Come with me then, lad. And he leads you deeper into the Chapel of Grungni. So, deeper in you go, you enter the inner sanctum of the chapel. There is another smaller statue of Grungni here. It's about 4 foot tall.
Okay.
Made entirely of brass and with gems sort of set in his helmet and belt.
Oh yes. Oh yes.
Mm-hmm. And sitting on a pedestal in front of him is this big leather-bound tome.
Okay. I'm going to take a wild leap of logic here and say that is the Book of Grudges.
Indeed it is. And so he walks in there and he says, "Oh, hold up a second. I can't hold the book with two hands. As you can see, I'm a bit short in that area." And he walks back out of the room, and a moment later he comes with a younger dwarven initiate priest in tow. He says, "Yoda, this is Ulrich, Yoda."
Hey, more than Yoda.
And Yoda sort of waves at you in a sort of very luge manner. And he says, "All right, son, here, hold the book open for me so I can turn the pages." And Yoda picks up the book, which is, as he picks it up, you see his arm sort of bulge. So it's a pretty heavy book. He picks it up and opens it. And the priest, whose name you didn't inquire anyway, but that's fine. He starts turning the pages.
Yeah.
Brintok, eh? Brintok. Let's have a look, see. I recognise the name Brintok. It's an imperial dwarvish name. Your family must have been living with within the confines of the Empire for generations.
But that does seem to track a lot. Hey.
It's not a traditional Karak dwarf name. So that's what leads me to assume, even if you said you lived in Karak Asgaraz, was that right?
Aye.
Yes. So at some point in time, your family has migrated from an imperial city. I assume you said you're from the south, so maybe somewhere like Nuln or Ubezreich, maybe even Altdorf itself. And you've migrated back to live with the Karak dwarves. Were your family always on the outskirts of the Karak society?
That's a good question. Would I know if they were always on the outskirts of the Karak society?
How old are you?
I am 70 something. 71.
How old were you when you left the hold?
Ooh. Let me go check. I was. I was 60.
60. Okay. Yeah, so you've not actually been out of the hold very long. You definitely would have known that your family was maybe not shunned, but definitely not made to feel terribly welcome within the society within Karak Asgaraz.
Right. Hey, well, I mean, we weren't exactly with the core. We had to make our own, but we weren't shunned or anything. We weren't exiled from the mountainside.
This does seem to be the case with Imperial dwarves versus Karak dwarves. There's a disconnect between the two. I don't see why there should be, if I'm honest. There's nothing wrong with being an Imperial dwarf, and the dwarvish community here has been separated from the Karaks for thousands of years, and there's nothing lost, nothing gained, I say, by spending time with the manlings.
Hey, absolutely.
It is uncommon, though, for a dwarvish clan of Imperial dwarf status to then return to the Karaks, so it's probably why your family were, I guess, outsiders.
Oh, I see. Well, that's not great then, is it?
But let me see now. Brintok, eh? Here we go. And he's been flipping pages whilst he's been talking to you, and he stops, and he runs a finger down, says, here we go. This is in the annals from Karak Kazarak. Let us see. Most of the dwarves of Middenheim are descended from those from Karak Kazarak. It was overrun by orcs generations ago. And this here is the Book of Grudges from Karak Kazarak, which was rescued by the priest at the time. Let us see. Brintok. Yeah, here we are. 200 weight of gold, not paid by one Snorri Brintok. Grudge to be paid in full, and there's a note underneath it here. Another date about 70 years hence. 200 weight gold paid. Snorri's head mounted. It looks like there was a debt here that was at least paid, and your ancestor, I assume Snorri, paid for it with his life as well, by the sounds of things. So they at the very least have had contact with the Brintoks here. So let's go further, shall we?
I'm just gonna put my head in my hand and just be like, "Hey, let's go further." Hey.
And he starts.
Booked.
He's flipping further back. So you've noticed that he's been going through the book backwards. So he started at the end and is working towards the front. There is another one here. Brintok. I think I just saw it. There. That's the rune for Brintok. Clan Brintok. And then it's smudged. That's not good. Clan Brintok. Clan Brintok. Representatives of Clan Brintok came to visit today. Shown out by household guard. So clearly you still weren't part of your imperial dwarves at this point. So let's go back further. He flips back even further and he's like, Brintok, here we go. This is around about, let's see now, what's the date on this? This is about 600 years ago now.
Okay.
Aye, here we go. Clan Brintok was forced to leave Karak Kazarak due to shame, I think is what the word is here. It's kind of smudged.
Excuse me, laddie?
It's not really clear, laddie. Like, it says here, shame, debts paid, no grudge held, our greatest sorrow. I don't know what that means, laddie.
I mean, you don't know what it means.
There's no further reference here. Let me just go back further, see if I can't find anything else. And so he flicks through a few more pages. And there's only one other reference to Clan Brintok, which was someone owed a member of Clan Brintok money, and a grudge was levelled against them. There's no record of it having been, the grudge of it ever being completed or not. And he's like, right, so it looks like at some point in time your family was actually a part of Karak Kazarak.
Huh.
But that hold's been lost for, well, centuries now.
Okay.
So I wonder if your family was from up here originally and has moved into the Southlands and then have moved back into the Karak society down in the Grey Mountains.
Hey. I see. Ah. How curious, laddie. And you're saying we had to leave due to shame?
That's what it says here. But there's no reason listed. It could be, well, let's think what could cause shame. The only thing I can think of would be some sort of ruin brought down upon your house. But then I would have thought that all of your family would have taken the Slayer oath, but they clearly haven't.
Hey. We haven't. And I very briefly look with a bold, fiery look in my eyes, and then I look back and I'm like, we haven't, no. So interesting.
Look, laddie, I wish I could tell you more, but that's all I can find here in the Book of Grudges. But I'll tell you where you might be able to find some more information. It's a risky plan. There's not many who have ever ventured out that way and survived.
Hey. Go on.
The ruins of Karak Kazarak are but a week's ride from from the edge of the lands surrounding Middenheim. Deep in the middle mountains.
Hey, I see. Why is it so dangerous there, though? Surely, you know, the orcs are a bit of a problem, but...
The orcs are more than a bit of a problem, laddie. The orcs are rampant. They have held that hold for thousands of years.
Oh, come on now, laddie. We're bloody dwarves!
Well, look, from what I understand, there's been numerous attempts to make a run for the citadel, for Old Karak, and try and clear it of the dwarves, but it would be a concerted effort, and it would require, unfortunately, the backing of, well, there's not enough dwarves here in Middenheim to do it, unfortunately, laddie. We'd need help from the manlings, and I don't think the Graf would be willing to assist us in that.
Aye. Bastard man. Whatever that means in Kazalid. Whatever bastard man is in Kazalid.
I don't actually have my Kazalid translation in front of me, but there
That's
is. I'm sure I've got one.
Alright, lad. Well. Interesting. Very interesting. Well. If I have to get to Kazarak, it's gonna take me a week's ride from the edge. And there's orcs in the way. I'm gonna stroke my slowly forming beard quite a lot.
Mm-hmm. What happened to your beard, laddie? It's a great shame not having a beard.
And my eyes will just be like, yeah, no fucking shit. But my mouth will be like, hey, it's a long story, laddie. A whole lot of smuggling and a whole lot of rampant fucking halflings trying to get us gouged of our money. You know how it is.
I'm not sure I do, but that does sound like an interesting tale.
Hey, it was, laddie. I'll recount the entire thing. Now, well, would there be anywhere that's not within the ruins of rampaging Orklands that I might be able to find more information?
I mean, unless you wanted to travel all the way to Karak, all the way on the World's Edge Mountains.
How far away is that?
Okay, we need
How many months?
I'm gonna say probably about 4.
Yeah.
So the World's Edge Mountains are like right at the bottom of the Empire. In fact,
Yeah.
past the bottom of the Empire. They're like past where all the border princes are.
Okay,
Bordering
I'll-
right
I'll-
onto the lands of the undead.
Yeah, I'll just be like, alright, well, none of that. Oh, if that's where I gotta go, that's where I gotta go. Isn't it, laddie?
If you want to find out more information, I think that's probably your best bet. Fortunately, nothing here is written about what their shame might have been. But
Are you
it-
sure you're not looking at that wrong? I mean, you know, these bloody words, they're all very mysterious, you know? I mean, is it a smudge? Is it not a smudge? Maybe it's not shame. Maybe it's something cool, like stone.
but why would you have been cast out?
Not too much stone. Is that a thing we used to do?
You cast out for too much stone.
I wouldn't have thought you'd be cast out for having too much stone, laddie. That doesn't seem quite right.
Aye, it does seem ridiculous for a dwarf to have too much stone, doesn't it?
Indeed, it does. Let me have a. I will consult the runes again if you want, but I'm fairly sure shame is the word I'm looking at here.
It's fine. It's fine. Well, it looks like I'll have to try and find a way to get to Kazarak. Take down orcs on the way.
Hey, it will be a grand tale if you manage it.
Aye, aye. I'm sure there are a few lads here that wouldn't mind coming along with me, is there?
I'm sure you'll find some who'd be interested. Me myself, well, I lost my arm to orcs many years ago, probably before you were a wee beardling.
Ah, I see, lad. Well,
I've had my fill of orcs, but if you find them greenskins, you give them a good thrashing.
oh, you'll know I'll fuck 'em up for you, laddie. and I go to like punch him in the arm, and then remember he doesn't have one, and then awkwardly move back and just go, "Hey, laddie, hey." Okay. I will then thank him for his time and his services, and be all like deeply appreciated in Dwarven. And then I will make my leave, I guess.
Cool. Alrighty.
Yeah. All right, that's all right.
We weren't with you when you were doing that, were we?
No.
Like hell, I'm letting you come down this cool tunnel with me. It's a dwarf tunnel.
In fairness,
Right.
if you had been with them, you wouldn't have actually been allowed entrance into the inner sanctum.
I wouldn't have thought so. Yeah.
No.
I don't think I could have dwarf weaved them hard enough to let in.
No. They would have allowed you probably into the chapel itself.
I'm sure they would have. Yeah.
But I don't think they would. They definitely wouldn't have allowed you any further.
Cool. Okay.
Um,
Now I just have to convince the group that we should kill a lot of orcs.
yeah. Easy, right?
Easy, man.
Easy money. As you are leaving the chapel, you happen to spot a big fancy hat that you recognize.
Why, who's that big fancy hat I see over there?
I think you know.
Is it Johanna?
It's
everyone
Johanna.
should know.
Yeah, boy!
Yeah, right. Everyone knows my hat. Better
Hey,
know my
Johanna.
hat.
All right.
Oh, you do.
We'll do a star wipe, shall we?
Oh, hell yeah.
What? No, it's one of those...
Star wipe.
No, I was gonna say it's like one of those, like, the camera's behind my back, and I'm like, hey, Johanna! And then it slowly, like, goes around, and then it's, like, behind Johanna's back. Johanna's like, hey, and then she moves on, the camera follows her, and I'm like, hey.
So, Johanna,
Mm-hmm.
you were minding your business, having a drink at the Man of War,
As one does.
as one does, and you similarly, one of the wait staff there came up to you and says, "There's a royal page with a note for you."
Oh, well, I best find them.
I'll escort them in, and so the page is escorted in, and they hand you a note. And he says, "Are you Mistress Johanna?
That is me. How can I help you?
I've got this here missive from the Graf's office itself." And he hands it over to you, and sort of looks at you expectantly.
Alright, oh god. I can't fucking read. Would you mind quietly reading it out for me? I think the drink might be
Just
messing
hike
with
us
my
somewhere.
vision.
Just vindication.
The kid looks at you and says, "Oh, I've only just started learning my letters, miss. I'm probably not much help to you."
Oh, I'll look at the barman. Do you in any way know how to read?
Well, the man behind the bar is your good friend Captain Jan. And here,
I find myself embarrassed and lacking.
he has a look at you and says, "Well, I think you've just not had enough to drink."
Ah, must be. My god.
And he pours you another stiff ale and says, "Let's have a look." And he takes the note, looks at it and says, "Well, I recognise about 4 words in 20 here. Fresh out of luck."
Well, I've got to go find some form of scribe. I looked out the page, who I assume is still here.
Oh, yeah, very much,
Right.
very much doe-eyeing
Keep
at
up
you.
with your letters. You're at least doing better than myself. So.
And yeah, so this child is still definitely like doe eyes, sort of like looking at you expectantly.
Oh, I'll rummage in my pouch and bring out a couple of copper as a tip.
He accepts them, sort of looks at them, and then side eyes you, and then leaves.
Oh god. I undertipped. Now he's gonna tell everyone I can't read.
Oh dear.
So next thing I'm gonna do is down my drink
Mm-hmm.
and go find a reading teacher because I'm getting fed up.
Almost as if you know a priest and an apothecary and a wizard who
Yeah,
all can read, who can all read and could all probably teach you quite easily.
Yeah, but they're not here right now.
No.
The selfish
True.
bastards.
True.
Oh, Siri, that's funny.
Oh my god.
Where did I remember? There's a place that you could probably go. For that, there is. Yeah, alright. So you're currently in Captain Jan's, which I think from memory is like around here somewhere.
From memory, yeah.
You have heard word, having spent some time in the city now, that there is a scriptorium at the Worshipful Guild of Legalists in Altmarket.
That sounds about right. Let's go on an education adventure.
Someone could probably read that there for you for a small fee.
Oh, cool, awesome. I am apparently very good at small fees because I underpaid that poor child who probably had to walk a very long way.
So you wander off towards Altmarkt. Where are we on the map?
Do I even have it? Oh, it's fine. I have jewelry. I can pay them with that.
You do actually have some coin.
Oh, how much coin do I have?
You got
Yeah,
a
you
shit
had
ton
like
of
20
gold.
gold coins.
Oh, fuck,
No,
really?
not
God.
quite that much. You and I got 16 each, I think. Or was
Oh,
it
cool.
17 each? 16 each.
Yeah.
You and I
Sorry,
got
small
16
child.
each. We got given 16. We didn't get the 2 extras that you guys got.
So it is somewhere in. Oh, it's this one, 31, over here. So you've got to walk through the Great Park, and you wander through the Kleinmut district where you were originally dropped off in the city, and you
Hopefully no small page children are lying in wait to rob me.
well, not that you
Shouldn't
see
give
it in
you
any case.
ideas.
You make your way to the Worshipful Guild of Legalists. It's a big building. Lots of reliefs on the front depicting various Grafs throughout history. You enter the main sort of, I guess, reception area, and there is a rather harassed-looking secretary sitting behind a desk. And she looks up at you and says, "And what business do you have here at the Worshipful Guild?"
I'm here to get something read to me and perhaps a bit of learning. I'm tired of not being able to read.
I mean, you've probably come to the wrong place, but there's definitely someone here who could read something for you.
Story of my life. Well, the reading will do for a start. Which one of your
And without any paying you any further attention, she's already off on some other errand. She points behind her to a staircase leading downstairs. She says, "Down 2 flights of stairs, on the left, you'll find a scriptorium with hardworking scribes. One of them will be able to read it for you."
Thank you. I don't even get to finish flourishing my hat.
No,
So
she's
I'll
already
follow-
off, dealing with
Oh.
something else.
Jesus. Okay, I'll follow the directions downstairs to the scriptorium.
So you make your way down 2 flights of stairs, and this feels very much hewn out of the rock. It's not built like the rest of the building. And you enter into this scriptorium where you see about 20 to 25 scribes just sort of transcribing documents. Either some of them might have books that they're transcribing notes from. Others will have let's say transcriptions from a speech given, which they're writing down to preserve it for historical record. And one of them sort of bustles past you and says, "Oh, hello, can I help you?"
Oh, yes, I was looking for someone who could read me this note.
"Oh, yes, of course. Very good. Just wait there, and he points to a vacant chair just beside the door. And someone will be with you shortly. And as he sort of wanders off, he sort of pauses and turns back and says, "Oh, it's 20 coppers for a reading."
Oh, of course, thank you.
And then he sort of dithers off somewhere else. And you're sort of left sitting there for long enough that you feel like you've been forgotten. And you're busy watching these scribes, and like the scribe in front of you is moving and writing so slowly you feel like you can almost see moss growing on them whilst they're writing. You're just like, oh,
There's definitely a sign up saying "Don't abuse our scribes."
yeah,
We reserve the right to refuse service to people who are violent or abusive to our scribes.
yeah, 100%.
Or can't read.
Or can't read.
Yeah, signs saying don't be a dickhead for not being able to read written and writing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
and then it's just a pictorial reference of someone punching a scribe with a line through it, being like, don't do that.
Another smaller sign that just says no smut.
Someone's drawn a dick on it.
It's a picture of a halfling with a line through it.
Yeah.
You just go into this office, pay some small scribe to read porn at you for an hour, then you leave.
Oh god.
So, after about 40 to 45 minutes, the same scribe who passed you before sort of wanders back past and says, "Oh, are you still here?"
Yes, just waiting for someone to read.
"Oh, yes. Let me go and find you someone." And
It's been forgotten.
they wander off again. In the opposite direction this time.
I'm just gonna kind of watch them as they go.
They wander back over to a desk and sit down and pull out a quill and start writing. They don't speak to anyone, they just wander over.
I'm just gonna go to the nearest scribe that doesn't look too busy illuminating something. And go, excuse me, I was told you could read something to me.
This scribe is a touch more switched on than the vacant-eyed goon that you just spoke to before. Says, "Oh, yes, I thought I heard someone come in earlier. What, 5 minutes ago?"
Probably, yes. And it was 20 copper for a reading?
20? Oh, I'm fairly sure it was more than that. Hang on. And he starts rummaging around. Like he has a little drawer next to him, and he starts rummaging around in there. Make for me, please, a haggle test.
Oh my god.
An average one.
I'm just gonna start fucking drawing my sword soon. Look at this. No, we're gonna get better than that. Are we?
It is technically better.
You know what? Fuck it, I'm sure this won't come back to haunt me. Oh, wow. Perfect, thanks.
Technically better again.
Technically still better.
I'll be right back.
Yeah, all right. So this scribe, let's see, he's going to do one as well.
Oh my god.
There's minimum inefficiency there. Like you'd like it failed, but by the least, the most efficient margin.
Thrown off by all this writing. It's witchcraft.
Okay, he actually fails worse than you do.
Yay.
So you do manage to convince him that it is slightly less than that. So he's like, "Oh, yes. What's a price that you're willing to part with, Steph?"
Well, I thought it was 20. Have I just fucking conned this poor guy?
Well, you've haggled him down to a lower price.
Okay, cool. How low can I go?
Within reason.
Oh, look, let's do like 16. This guy has to write all day.
Yeah.
You know, like.
16.
That's not.
Yes, that sounds right. That sounds reasonable.
Lovely.
We do, however, insist that it is payment up front.
Oh, of
I don't want you
course.
withholding if it's bad news that I'm giving you.
Sensible. That seems like it's happened before.
Yes. And he sort of raises a hand as if like he's been like struck before for giving someone bad news.
Oh, it's not your fault. It's bad news.
You try telling that to some of the entitled nobles who haven't learnt to read.
Hmm. Yeah. I'm surprised you don't check weapons at the door.
They do if it's upstairs for the courthouses, but down here they don't seem to mind so much.
I'd try and raise that if you haven't already, and I'll count out the 16 points.
Steph's just trying to improve workplace relations.
Yeah, Steph's trying to create
Have
a
you
union
got a
here. Have you guys unionized?
And I'll hand over the piece of paper afterwards.
Cool. So he does a quick scan of it, and his eyes widen when he reads the signature at the bottom. He says, "Oh, this is an official missive from the Graf himself. Not written by his hand, I don't think, but definitely his signature on it."
Oh, well, that's good. That is what I was told, but I don't have much other information.
It says here that he has made arrangements with an individual that he knows at the Dwarven Engineers Guild. They are to design you a prosthetic finger? Question mark?
Oh, and I hold up my hand.
Missing
showing
two
him the
fingers.
missing digits. Yep.
Oh. Yes. Yeah, missing fingers. Yes. I see. And that the Graf will cover the costs of it, but that you might have to go and gather some materials, as he understands that these dwarven engineering projects sometimes use somewhat exotic materials. And you're to present this note to a dwarf by the name of... oh dear. I've never been very good at reading dwarvish names. Give me a moment. This will give me time to try and find the dwarvish name that I had written down somewhere. Oh god.
Go on then, Dungeon Master.
Yeah. Shit. Imagine not having something prepped. Oh no.
I would never know this.
Because you've definitely never winged anything before, ever.
Yeah, I'm always prepared. Yes.
Five steps ahead.
Yeah, at all times. His name is... Oh my god, this is really quite embarrassing. I don't actually have it written down.
His name should be Peter Schmeichel.
Strange reference, but sure.
Wouldn't it be like Peter Schmorchazak or something?
Well, I mean, he's Danish, so I guess more phlegm.
It's probably more what his name would be. I don't know.
He's from a place called Gladzax Municipality. That's perfect for a dwarf.
It is pretty well actually. Yeah.
On point. Yeah.
Dwarven Engineers Guild. For some reason my notes weren't opening in Roll20. I've had to... Right. His name is Malachi Makaisen.
Well, I wouldn't ask him how to spell that, because it would literally mean...
It would defeat the point, yeah.
Yeah. Ah, excellent. I guess I'll probably need that back once you're done.
Yes, and he sort of is very reluctant to pass it back over to you, because I've never seen something signed by the Graf personally before. But he eventually, very reluctantly, lets go of it and gives it back to you.
Fold it up carefully and put it in my coat. Inside pocket.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, thank you very much. I hope one day I can read half as well.
And, like, they've already gone back to writing whatever it is that they were writing.
I'll just wander back upstairs suppose.
Yeah. You're just like, oh, okay, that conversation's done.
Cool. All right. Delightful.
So
I'll wander back upstairs.
you head back upstairs and you head in the direction of the Dwarven Engineers Guild, which you have a fairly rough idea of where it is. It's not too far, actually, from where you are currently. On the map, it is there. So you wander down to the Dwarven Engineers Guild, and as you enter, you hear Ulrich cry out from behind you.
Hey, Johanna! Johanna!
Hang on, Steph, you're not working. Your thing's not connecting.
Hey, Johanna, you deaf bastard!
He's just trying to reconnect.
Ah.
Okay. Ulrich continues shouting at the top of his lungs. Hey, Johanna, get all of it! And I'm just like...
Do I smell or something?
When I can learn to write your name's the first in the book.
I'm just like, you shot at young lad. Johanna!
Oh, you lot.
So, Steph, I don't know if you cut out there or not, but as you were entering the Dwarvish Engineers Guild, you hear Ulrich cry out from behind you.
Good start.
Have we lost you?
Hang on a sec.
Yep.
Oh.
Hang on, she's just like trying to restart the thing.
Yeah, easy.
I have so much stuff. Help. On the plus side, it does have storage boxes. I love this.
Do you?
Yeah.
Alright, I might use the opportunity to... Well, I wasn't going to make tea, I was actually going to go for my water bottle up.
Oh.
I'll be back in a moment.
With tea?
Put the kettle on.
Ulrich
Please.
continue screaming.
You would.
I just love the idea that it's like, Johanna's having a great time, and Ulrich just wants to be noticed, and he's like, no, I won't let this go. It's like he could go do anything with his time to make him happy. He's like, no, I will be noticed. I am perfectly tall for a dwarf.
I was going to say, but why would he?
Yeah, Ulrich's like, maybe if I smell worse, you might actually notice me.
Imagine.
Got it, Chris. Right.
Best case scenario, Johanna already heard. She just knows.
She's just straight up ignoring you. Yeah. Like, no, not today.
the great success real?
Wrangled it.
She's wrangled it.
It is wrangled.
Oh, yeah.
It has been brought to heel.
Fingers crossed.
Right. So, what was the last thing you heard?
The last thing I heard is I was going over to the place.
Cool. Okay. So, as you have entered, or as you are about to enter the Dwarven Engineers Guild, you hear Ulrich cry out from behind you.
Hey, Lassie!
Turn around, my magnificent hat, feathers whipping the breeze.
Bulging.
That's definitely not what feathers do, but sure.
I don't know, maybe these ones are fancy.
I will approach her, I guess.
You tell me. This is your shindig.
Yeah, I'm gonna walk up and be like,
You were the one
Hey.
screaming at her in the street.
Oh, it just makes me think of Jojo.
hey, Johanna! Dun, dun,
Oh,
and
you're
approach.
approaching me.
Yeah, I'll walk up to her and be like, hey, what you got going on, Lassie?
Oh, I'm off to get some new fingers.
You fucking what, lass? What?
Oh, no, like prosthetics.
Hey, I'm sorry. Why does
Like
the last
a
week you
hook,
need new fingers?
but fingers. And I just hold up my
I see. A hook lass, and I wink. I'll say, hey, you say nothing more then? Alright.
Yeah.
Well, do you mind if I join you? I'll just be in the background.
Yeah, of course, please.
Alright then. I will literally be in the background.
Marvelous.
Nice.
So you enter the Dwarvish Engineers Guild, and as Ulrich before you will have noticed, it is the main entrance is sort of like a big planning room. There's a big table and lots of dwarves here, there, and everywhere, sort of like going over various different plans. And the same dwarf that spoke to Ulrich earlier, Gunnar Snorrison, spots you, and he says, "Hello there, manling. What can I do for you?"
I was told to come here to about some prosthetics, and I'll hold up my hand again. Was sent by de Graf.
By the Graf himself, eh? That's the second note I've seen from the Graf today. Let's have a look. See.
Hold up the note.
Oh, Malachi. Is that right? You here to speak to Malachi?
Yes. So I'm told.
Very good. All right. Just wait here a moment, will it, don't you? And he disappears off into a side room.
And I'm gonna look slightly nervous that I'm gonna be left for another half hour.
Don't worry, they're very quick, lass.
Oh, that's good. You would not believe how slow scribes are.
Oh, don't get me started. Writing in your weird language. Oh. And I'll swear at Caslin.
That's about the sum of it. Yeah, not very good customer service wise. Nose in books.
Oh, hey, I tell you what. You know what would be good for them? A quick, swift bash to the head, you know?
Well,
Oh,
apparently that's not allowed.
Yeah, well, their skulls are probably thick enough to take it, methinks.
Maybe all the writing wears them down.
Oh,
All that thinking.
the thoughts of it. Oh yes, of course, laddie. Oh, we just have to think of it while we're reading. You know what's smarter than that? You just take a couple lines, you divvy them up. All you need, lassie. All you need.
Well, I wouldn't mind learning how to read a bit. I mean, it would be good to know what they're saying about me on the wanted posters, whether it's worth collecting it or not.
Pompous, nib, chewing cave-ins. That's what I think of them. Aye.
So Gunnar returns leading a truly eccentric-looking dwarf.
Nice.
I'm trying to think of the best way to describe him. So he's got I guess the best way to describe it is a shock of black hair, which stands straight up. and he's got a monocle, but it's like one of those, those like ludicrous like steampunk eyepiece things, which is like a telescopic. Yeah, he's got one of them sitting over his left eye. He's missing a chunk of his nose. He has got a big black bushy beard, which you can see like threads of like silver and gold wire have been like threaded through.
Cool.
And he's got a big sort of oddly mechanical looking pipe sticking out of his mouth, which is with a slow sort of trickle of smoke coming out of it.
Very promising.
And he looks at you and says, "Hello, lassie. Are you the one that's been sent by the Graf?"
That'd be me.
Right. Let's just check that everything's right in order. And he takes the note from you without asking. And he
Okay,
sort of
I'll just let it go. I'm
he-
not gonna argue with this dwarf.
he twiddles a dial on the side of his monocle, and it telescopes out so you can read it at arm's length. He says, "Hey, right. Everything appears to be in order." And he fiddles with it again, and the scope goes back in. Right, let's have a look at this here hand, lassie. And before he does anything else, he storms off into a side room. And Gunnar sort of looks after him and then looks at you and says, "You better follow him."
Okay, I will follow.
So you tail off after him. Ulrich, are you tailing as well, or are you sort of stuck chatting with Gunnar at the front?
I'll follow along. Why not?
Cool. So the two of you follow through. Surprisingly, like it doesn't look like much from outside, but it's a surprisingly labyrinthine, like set of corridors and rooms out the back here. And eventually, you are led into a rather large workshop, where there's lots of odd contraptions and whatnots and gizmos and a big pile of plans stacked up in the corner. And he says, "Right, pull up a stool there, lass."
Will do.
And he says, "Stick your hand down on this here table."
I shall do so.
And you put your hand down. There's a piece of parchment on the table, and he sort of takes a stick of charcoal and starts like running it around the edge of your hand to sort of get a sort of a guide of what your hand size is and your hand shape. And then he pulls out like a set of calipers and starts measuring your hand. So how did this happen, lassie?
Beastman. Horn through the hand. Bit of a
Is that right?
lucky shot for them, bit unlucky for me.
Is that alright? That's they've done a nasty job of that. Whoever stitched you up has done a good job, though. You've not looked like it's done too much damage to the rest of your hand.
Oh yeah, they did a fantastic job. It was good they were nearby.
Hey. Right, let's have a look-see. And he continues making some measurements, and then he sort of sits there for a minute, just chatting with you idly about where you're from and this, that, and the other. And then after about sort of 10-15 minutes of conversation, he says, "Right, I think I've designed something," and he turns it around to show you, and it's the thing that I sent you earlier in the week, Steph.
Yeah, cool.
I will dump it in the chat if I can for the rest of you to see, because it's pretty freaking cool. Give me a sec.
It sounds pretty cool.
Can I get? I might have to.
Ulrich grunts.
Alright, it's going to be one of these, I think. I'm going to put it in the Discord chat. The little video that I found on Facebook. But imagine that, but not for a thumb. So he holds up this sketch, and it's for these two I guess, mechanical fingers that will fit over the palm of your hand, and from what you can see, there's like a series of like maybe not springs. They'll look almost like levers that will, when you bend certain fingers, it will move the other two. And with a high degree of precision, from what as he's explaining it, it look like you can see. But yeah, it'll have pretty decent precision. You would essentially have two brand new fingers again. It wouldn't be that cumbersome for you at all.
Oh, nice.
It says, right, now there is one catch here, lassie.
What's the catch?
This here, see here on the palm of the hand here, and he sort of points to the inner part of the prosthetic that's wrapped around the palm. This point here where the levers here connect to the actual body of the contraption. I'd need to get a runesmith to put a specific rune of craftsmanship into there. I'm not a runesmith. I'd have to find someone to do it. But the rune that I'm thinking I would need to put into that is it's the rune for the dwarvish word lock, which means intricate. And it's seeing as it's sort of a high precision type of prosthesis, you'd need that rune to allow it to do precise movement and have precise function like fingers would normally.
Oh.
Now, I do have access to a runesmith. There is a runesmith as a member of the Dwarvish Engineers Guild, but for this to work properly, we're going to need something that we can't find here in Middenheim.
Alright, then what are we after?
I need for you to find me some Gromrail.
Some what?
Okay, Ulrich, you happened to be there.
I was.
You would know this. What lore have you got? You got lore, dwarves lore.
Yeah, dwarves, not dwarves, metallurgy, and geology.
Great. Roll for me, please, a lore metallurgy test. But this is going to be a difficult one.
Oh, okay. Difficult. Here we go. Ooh.
Cool.
That's a negatory.
That's a negatory. Steph, what lore do you have?
What lore I have?
Hmm.
Let's find out. It's not reading, that's for sure. Lore books. I have Reichland and Local.
Reichland and local. Make for me, please, a... Alright, let's just call it a difficult intelligence test.
Oh no, my brain is broken.
Oh!
Holy shit. Fucking really?
Although you've rolled an initiative, not an intelligence.
Oh. I was gonna say, well that just kind of sums it up, doesn't it? Yeah, it's more like
Okay. Alright. So, he says, I'm not surprised, lassie, that you've not heard of Gromrail. And you, laddie, you're not inclined towards metallurgy or intricate workings, are you? I was directed at you, Ulrich.
What? Huh? What? I'm still deep in thought with like, where do I recognize that word from? And I'm just like, what is it, lad? Like, deep in my brain.
Deep in thought.
Yeah, deep in thought, stroking my beard, being like, oh, Kazarak.
He's lost in thought. So, Gromrail is a magical ore that is found from star metal. Very few traces of Gromrail left in the world, as it were. The biggest chunk can be found down in the World's Edge Mountains, in the Black Rock Lake. But I'll not need you to go all that way. I have heard tell that the dwarves of Kazarak even, had managed to obtain a small amount of Gromril from their southern kindred long before the forced evacuation of the hold due to the orcs. I believe that only a dwarven runesmith can actually work Gromril. Even a smith or an engineer such as myself, I didn't have the talent. It's only a dwarvish runesmith who can work with Gromril. Gromril is particularly good when it comes to holding magical properties, which the dwarvish rune that we wish to inscribe into this would grant a magical property to the item itself, if it's inscribed in Gromril. So what we would require for this to work properly is a tiny scrap of Gromril. It doesn't even have to be much, and like a half ounce should be enough. I just need enough to lay into the base plate where the rune will go, and then have the dwarvish runesmith inscribe the rune of intricacy into it to allow the prostheses to work functionally. Do you follow me?
Yes, I think so.
At this point, Ulrich will be all like, I know what it is, it's star metal, lad! Hey! Go on.
Is he always this sharp?
Look, can't possibly comment on that.
Hey, every day, lad, every day.
So he blows a smoke ring in your direction, and then says, "Well, Kazarak, that's going to be the place where you'll find this Gromril. Now, that hold is filled to the brim with orcs, and goblins, trolls, you name it.
Great history, lassie.
But if you can get there, and you can find me this Gromril, I can make you this prosthetic hand, no problem. In fact, I can get to work on making the remainder of it straight away. It'll take me no time at all. But the Gromril is key.
I'm sure we'll be able to track some down.
Very good. Right, well, leave it with me. I'll get to work on making this here prosthetic for you. I think once it's done, it should look mighty fine.
I look forward to seeing it.
Alright, can you find your way back out?
I'm sure we'll find our way.
Roll for me, please, a navigation test if you've got it.
Well, I hope so. Difficulty?
Challenging.
Do I need to roll one?
Yes.
Oh shit.
I'm such good at finding things.
Oh god. I'm re-rolling.
Okay, fair enough.
There we go.
Nice. Okay. Ulrich remembers the way back out. It was somewhat labyrinthine, but he manages to guide you back out.
We're about to go down. I go. Wait, hang on. Give it 10 seconds. No, other way. We're perfectly fine.
And just as you're about to leave, Malachi comes trotting back up. He's come a shortcut and has sort of, caught up with you. He's, hey, lassie, before you go, one final request, if I may. And he sort of pulls you over to one side, away from where all the other dwarves are. He says, if you do happen to find more Gromril than just the tiny amount that we need for this, bring as much as you can carry. That stuff is worth, it's very rare. I'll definitely see that you're well compensated if you can find more than what we require for this prosthetic hand.
Of course, I'll take a look and see what I can find.
Thank you kindly. And he sort of pats you on the back and then disappears back off towards his workshop.
leave the building before I get lost again. And then I guess the next thing would be to go to some kind of I guess a miners guild or something would probably be quite protective of what they're digging up. I guess find some gossip of where that kind of stuff's been found.
Yeah, I mean, you can certainly try the Miners Guild. There is one. Where did I remember seeing it? Ah, yes, in Aldruxmond, which you would have had to pass through on the way here.
More walking!
More walking! So, you make your way over to the Midland Miners Guild. It's a small, wide building with very narrow windows. And as you walk through the entrance, you are greeted by a very grumpy-looking dwarf.
Oh no.
Oh, he's fine. He probably always looks like that. Oh, I mean,
Greetings. I was looking for some information on where to find certain ore.
A certain ore? Really depends what you're looking for, lassie. You wouldn't happen to be criminals now, would you?
Not currently.
Not currently. Not currently, she
did
says.
he literally just say, you don't happen to be criminals right now, do you?
Hey, it's a valid question.
It's just such a fucking assumption. Oh, is the lady who's wearing a feathery hat a criminal? Probably. Like, wow. Oh, damn.
I mean, I look a little bit criminal. So.
I mean, you
I
do
take
have
all
the
that
criminal
as a
trait, which means that you are technically a criminal.
But not right at this moment.
No. Well, you do also work for the Man, the biggest criminal empire in the known world.
Yeah, but not right now.
But not right now.
Not right now.
This is technically on my personal time.
Yeah, you're not on the clock.
I'll be like, oh, actually, I'm on my break. It's nice and cheeky. See if that works.
Roll for me a charm test.
Oh god.
I'm going to say that it is going to be a challenging charm test.
Oh dear god. Okay, we're gonna give that one more go. Oh dear lord.
Ooh.
He's just like, fuck off.
He's not having a bar of it.
Oh, I'm not charming. No.
You're currently, like, you've got your hand in his pocket at the moment. And you see
No, the wind blows my coat back to show just so many weapons. And it, like, the sunlight glints off my many bits of skull jewelry.
you have some white powder around your nostrils. It's just some kids running past with a bag.
Yeah.
I take a step back, which is not a great look. I'm still in my fine clothes.
Yeah, you are too. Let's see.
Where's Dinky the horse when I need him?
Are you a criminal?
He would never abandon me.
It's like you're so much of a criminal that Ulrich just straight up arrests you. God, fuck it, that was easy.
It's just like you're straight up a criminal. I have to just check and be like, you are, right? Oh, sorry. No, hang on.
Let's put my hair in my hands. Just... well, 1.5 hands. No.
Rather annoyingly, I did actually have stats for Yarrick, but they won't open for some reason, which is just great. Big fan. Why don't we do this? As Yarrick /R D100. Yeah, okay, he failed his charm test too. but not as bad as that. So
No.
Oh fuck! Why am I
Any-
asking? I'm a criminal.
he sort of looks at you up and down and says, "Yeah, right, a criminal. Anyway, you might have come to the wrong department. Are you looking for the Miners Guild?
Yes.
Yeah, this is sort of not really how to put it. The name the Miners Guild is kind of a play on words. This is basically where criminals who have been tried by the magistrates get sent here to do press gang work in the mines.
Ah.
The Miners Guild is kind of a bit of a tongue-in-cheek thing.
Ah. Oh, I see. Is this a common error?
Yeah, we get quite a few people come here thinking that we're actually a guild of miners.
Have you had any criminals who aren't sentenced end up just working here?
Yeah, we get a few.
Okay. Huh. So kind of self-press ganged, I suppose.
Indeed. Aye.
Oh, fascinating. Do you know who I would speak to about locating certain types of ore in the area then?
Well, as I said before, it really depends on the type of material you're looking for. We do the mines that are out in the middle mountains, for the most part, mine silver.
Well, I have a scholar friend who wants a small sample of and I'll tell him the name of what I'm after because I've forgotten what it is.
Gromril.
And I was hoping to, get some in the field for him.
His eyes light up when you mention the word Gromril.
I'm gonna write that down.
Gromril? Really? And that will...
Oh, he's such a geologist. You can't. He'll talk for hours about rocks. Hours. And hours. And hours.
Gromril.
Just about rocks.
Gromril, you see. That's a pretty rare metal to find out here in the Middle Mountains. You sure he said that he thought there was some out here?
Oh, well, he didn't seem to know whether there was some out here, but he wanted me to look around and see if there was, because then he could get it sooner rather than later. He's obsessed with the stuff. Says it's very twinkly. Something about the structure of it is very fascinating.
Aye, indeed. And Yarrick starts stroking his beard. He says, "Indeed. No, as I said, the only place I've heard of Gromril being found is down by the Black Rock Lake, which is down in the World's Edge Mountains. I don't believe that there's any out here, but, well, who knows? There's many a lost dwarvish hold in the Middle Mountains. Maybe one of them managed to trade for some, I don't know.
Oh, perhaps. Would you... Yeah, I suppose I could go have a look. Very keen on it, and I'm a favour, so...
Aye, indeed. Gromril, you say. Aye.
It's the first I've heard of it. It sounds like quite an interesting ore.
Indeed, we don't normally let on about Gromril to anyone. Normally, definitely not humies such as yourself.
Oh well, let it be said. I wouldn't have mentioned if it was another human, of course.
I understand.
But yes, thank you. That's very useful. Hopefully, I'll be able to track some down for him.
Well, if you do happen to find any, then well, if you happen to have any left over, then I could certainly sell it. It's worth a pretty penny.
Oh, is it? My goodness. I just thought it was some kind of rare ore. If I do find any, if I do have any left over, I'll certainly let you know.
Yeah, good. All right. Well, I best get back to it. All those criminals I've got to look after down in the mines.
Yes, of course.
And he sort of ushers you to the door, and it's sort of a polite sort of yeah, you can go now. I've got stuff to do.
Okay, we're done now. Yeah.
And he goes, so you leave there. Is there anything else you wanted to do?
Well, I guess I'll have to ask about these holes since I imagine the World's Edge Mountains are pretty fucking far out.
Yeah, they
Just
are
a little bit.
about probably 6 months travel from where you are currently.
Okay, so we won't be doing that. I think, well, there's some people in the group who will be able to teach me to read, but we can always do that later.
Indeed. Well, in that case, then we will star wipe, as it were, to Wolfgang.
Jawohl.
So you are at the temple. You know, just
Of course I am.
flashing gang signs,
Oh yeah.
praying for the meek, giving a sermon, whatever it is you might be doing.
Yeah.
And
Practicing my gang signs, probably training like other priests, I suppose, as a warrior priest.
Yeah.
And lecturing, you know, giving guest lectures in the art of Warhammer Smash.
Yes, indeed.
Practicing with my new buckler and one-handed Warhammer.
So, in the midst of this, Brother Micah appears at the sort of outer courtyard where you were training and says, Brother Wolfgang.
Brother Micah. And, you know, up go the gang signs as yes.
There is a young page here for you from the palace.
Ah, show me to him. I am expecting him. Or show him to me, rather.
And so the boy is shown out to the courtyard. And, you know, you've been working out, training, so you're a bit of a impressive sight. You know, glistening.
Sure.
Glistening in the morning light. And he says, "Are you Master Wolfgang, sir?"
I am.
I have to see a missive from the Graf's office for you."
Thank you.
And he hands it over to you, and then he looks at you expectantly.
And I will read the missive.
Mm-hmm.
Which presumably gives me a time and place to meet with the Graf or
Indeed.
something. Yes. Then I will tussle the lad's hair.
Mm-hmm.
And then I kneel down with my hands and take his hands in my hands.
Mm-hmm.
And I offer him a blessing. I offer you a blessing, lad. The strength of Sigma. You look like a strong lad. You look like you could do some fighting strength, you know, in the alleys and things with your other boys and whatnot, roughhousing and things. Please, let me bless you with the strength of Sigma.
Blessing of might.
That's what I'm going to go for, yeah.
Marvelous. Give me a pray test, please. Average for this one.
Yeah.
Oh, you got it for challenging anyway. Perfect.
That's fine. There we go.
Yes, you grant this boy the blessing of might.
I also, and then as he leaves, I press a silver thing into his hand.
Marvelous. The boy sort of stands up a little bit straighter and says, "Thank you kindly, Master Priest," and then runs off.
Remember, we are all children of the Empire. We must all work together for Sigma, in Sigma's name, and the name of Karl Franz.
And he says, yes, sir, as he runs off, pocketing his silver. So the missive from him, from the Graf, says to present yourself to the Midden Palace at 2 hours past noon, and that you will be brought to the Graf's personal study for a private conversation.
Excellent. So what I'm going to do is I'd like to go and, you know, bathe and wash and whatnot and freshly shave my pate, as it were. And then I might, like, is it Micah or just trying to think of if is it Brother Micah who kind of gave me. No, it's the father of it's like the abbot. It's like the head
Yes.
priest. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm gonna see if I can find him, and just kind of touch base about what I should be asking. Like, make sure I've got the latest info from the Sigmarites at least. If there's been any other affronts, if there's been any other things that are worth knowing before I go to talk to him.
Yeah. So that is Werner Stolz.
That's it. So we'll go to his office, chambers, whatever, I suppose.
Yep. For some reason, my stats for him are not loading, which is just great. I think something might be up with Roll20 perchance. That's fine. I will open up his character notes on Adventures in Middenheim then. Werner Stolz. So he, you are admitted into his office, and he, blessings be upon you, Brother Wolfgang.
Yes. Ah, Father, I have finally managed to achieve what you challenged me to set out to do. I have been granted my missive. I have been granted my chance to speak to the Graf about why the Sigmarite faith is so overlooked, so shunned here.
This is wonderful news, brother. You have done well.
Thank you. But before I go, is there anything else I should be made aware of? Are there certain questions you would have me ask him? Or perhaps a gift I could offer on behalf of the Sigmarite faith to assure him that we mean him well?
Gift. Yes. An excellent suggestion, brother. And he gets up and there's like a small nave, I guess, at the back of his office, where he has, say, a few items stored away, and he pulls out a it appears to be nothing more than a ragged cloth.
Mm-hmm.
And he says, "This is one of the supposedly one of the forearm wraps of Sigmar himself. A blessed relic, as it were. One of a few that the Order has. This one was given to me by the Grand Theogonist himself, in the hopes that I might be able to convince the Graf to... yeah, that's right. You succeed.
Don't worry. Good. I wanted to make that roll because I was like, there's a chance I don't pick this up.
Yeah.
I am greatly blessed just to be in his presence, Father. I had no idea that you held such a sacred artifact here. I'm sure the Graf will be overjoyed to receive such an honourable blessing.
Indeed.
I will treat it with the respect that it is due, of course.
And so he hands it over to you, reverently. And
I very, very, carefully and delicately, is it in a box or is it just like a strip of fabric?
It is in a, I guess like a glass case.
Yeah, okay, good. Cool. Well, I will, yeah. I'm just going to reverently hold it in front of me.
Yeah. And so he says, as for questions for the Graf, you know of which we have spoken in regards to the concerns that we of the Sigmarite faith have in regards to our relationship with the Graf.
Yes, and just to remind Alex of what they are.
So,
as I try to find my notes.
basically, in the past 10 years or so, there has been a shift away from all various different priests being welcomed at court to
That's right.
only the Ulrich being welcomed, and the Vernestolz, and I guess by extension the Grand Theogonist, is concerned that the Graf is being, I guess, pulled away from the Sigmarite faith, which is, of course, the heart of the Empire.
Yes.
You know, it's the spiritual backbone of the Empire, and with the sort of tensions that have been rising in the city between the Ulrichans and the Sigmarites, it's concerning to the Sigmarite faith that the Graf seems openly favouring the Ulrican faith.
Yep. Sure. And
Yep.
is it now? And when I spoke to the Ulrican priest, it's since. And is there a noble that's come to court that it started happening since then? Is that right?
It's started happening more since the most recent Ulrich was raised.
That's right. And I haven't met him, have I? I've met
No.
him, tear down from him. Or have I met
You
actual
met the Den-Father. You met Klaus Liebnitz, the
That's right.
Den-Father,
And
who
he's
is
not the R Ulrich, is he?
no, he is the step down from that.
He's a pretty significant dude. But
Yes.
Yeah, okay. But I thought, yeah. Anyway, cool. All right. Great.
Blessings of
Right.
Sigmar be upon your mission today.
And of
Brother.
course yours as well, Father. I certainly feel I am maybe being. I am glad to have been able to achieve this for this meeting. I hope that it goes well and that we can hopefully re-strengthen the fervor of Sigmar in the city and in Middenland and Middelheim. I certainly am feeling the itch again to wander and drive out evil from those dark places in the world. Perhaps we will speak on this more once I return.
Indeed. Well, go with haste. You have little time. I understand it.
Excellent. Well, I will do such a thing.
All right. So, you make your way from the Temple of Sigmar to the Midden Palace, which is all the way up here. Number 1. Not really sure where the Temple of Sigmar is on the map. Media,
Hang on, I had another thing up over. I had no
26. It is here.
idea. Yes, I was going to say it's right. Yeah.
Yes, you're not too far away.
And this is the palace?
No, this is the palace.
Ah, yeah, cool. Oh, right, yes, it's just literally around the corner. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not going to go up and down and round.
Yeah,
and
it's not exactly easy to get to, but yeah, it's not that far away.
Cool.
So you make your way towards the Midden Palace. You are stopped at the gates surrounding the Midden Palace, which are sort of around these steps here, by a couple of Knights Panther. They look you up and down and say, "What business have you here, priest?"
The wolf's fangs and claws upon you. I have a missive. I have a meeting with the Graf. And I hold out and show them the letter.
Yep. They spot the seal, and that's enough for them. They're like, "Very good." And they step out of your path.
Great.
So you make your way up the steps and enter the palace itself. Now, this is the first time any of you have been into the Midden Palace, so let's get some information about it.
Yep, sounds good.
It
Exciting.
is a massive building faced with beautiful carvings. There are tall, scrolled marble pillars, which
Really?
makes it
I thought
you.
it would just be Wolf Central.
No, it's quite nice, quite southern in its stylings, I guess.
Interesting, tasteful. Yeah.
When in money.
When in money,
Yep,
yeah.
That's it.
You wouldn't know this as such, but the facade and the pillars themselves are actually of either Bretonnian or Chilean artistry.
I wouldn't know or bother taking interest to know.
No.
To be fair.
You will spot.
I would just be like, yeah, like, okay.
Yeah. You will spot, however, that there don't appear to be any guards here.
Mhm.
What guards you do see are all members of the Knights Panther.
Yeah. Okay.
So this is separate to the Order of the White Wolf.
That's right. Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, they're all mega Ulrich, aren't they? But they are.
No,
They're
the Knights Panther are Sigmarite,
Oh, okay.
but they are devoutly, particularly the Middenheim branch, they are devoutly loyal to the Todbringer family.
Yeah, that's right.
So they're basically the Graf's personal guards.
They're the local. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, cool.
And so you enter the main entrance hall, and you are greeted by an individual. This guy. So a tall. If this never decides to load, what is going on? Roll20 is letting me view handouts, but not character sheets for some reason.
All good.
Yeah, let's try this instead. Alright. So you were met by a tall, rather thin-looking man with an air of aristocracy to him.
Mhm.
And he sort of looks down his nose at you and taps his cane on the floor and says, "Priest, on what business are you here?"
I have been summoned for a meeting with the Graf personally, after being fortunate enough to assist him and his family and my companions by helping to save the life of him and his family. And I raise the note again.
Yes. He looks at it very briefly and says, of course. I have been informed that you should have been arriving. I had expected someone of somewhat greater standing than yourself, but that is no matter. If you will follow me, please. And he leads you deeper.
I will raise an eyebrow, but follow him.
Yeah, he will lead you deeper into the palace itself.
Yeah.
So he leads you through, or up a set of stairs and through a number of corridors, and he leads you into what can only be described as, I guess, a sitting room or an anteroom.
Mm-hmm.
And he says, if you will wait here a moment, I shall inform the Graf of your arrival, and he shall see you shortly.
Mm-hmm.
And he disappears off into a door adjacent to the one that you entered.
But just looking around the room, like anything of note,
It's very well furnished and appointed.
like, I mean, I'm a Middenlander, so like he's my Graf. Like, this,
yes,
like, it's as much as I'm a Sigmarite priest. This is a significant thing.
He's your liege lord, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Look, as I said, it's a fairly well furnished and appointed room. But it's just a sitting room. It's nothing fancy.
Yeah. Okay.
And after about a minute, the individual who led you here sort of re-emerges through the door and says, "The Graf will see you now," and holds the door open for you.
Great. I will walk through the door.
It is, in fact, playing silly buggers with me. It won't allow me to load the Graf's character sheet. That is annoying. I'm going to have to refresh this, I think, so I can actually get my character sheet up. Okay. Graf, Boris, Todbringer. There we go. All right. So, you are shown into the Graf's study. The Graf is currently seated behind a rather lavishly gilded desk.
Nice.
And the housecarl sort of says, the Sigmarite priest you sent for, my liege, and bows out of the room. Make for me, please, a perception test. Average.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you, I guess, are more taken aback by the fact that you are once again in the presence of the Graf. So you don't happen to notice that standing off in the corners of the room opposite to you are a pair of members of the Knights Panther.
Yeah.
And the Graf, so he sort of looks at you and says, "Priest."
And I'll bow like very low.
Mm-hmm.
And it's your excellency. I'm gonna go with that. Whether it's right or not, I'm gonna go with that.
Sure.
Your excellency. I am humbled to be in your presence. The blessings of Sigma are upon you, Graf of the Empire, and my liege lord of Middenheim and Middenland. Please, humbly, I would offer this great gift, offered in tribute to you by Father. Damn it, what's his name?
Stoltz.
Stoltz, Father Stoltz of Sigma in the city, by extension the Grand Theogonist. Please, these are said to be. This is said to be one of the arm wraps of Sigma himself, when he served Ulrich here in the north. And I'll sort of hold it out before me and start approaching the table.
Yep. As you do so, the two knights step forward. But the Graf holds up a hand, stopping them, and steps around his table, and with more reverence than you would have expected, he takes the glass case from you.
Mhm.
And there is a look of, I guess, sort of religious awe on his face.
Mm-hmm.
He says,
Good.
"This is indeed a mighty gift." And he walks back around his desk and places it down in front of him. And then he sits down.
I'll make the sign of the Twin Tower Comet and all the gang signs.
Flash every gang sign that you know. Yeah.
Pretty much.
And so he sits.
I'm basically just voguing at this point.
Yeah.
Just
dabbing everywhere.
Just dabbing and yeah. Cool.
So he sits down and places the case on the table in front of him. And then he gestures to a chair facing him and says, "Please, you may sit."
I'll bow my head again and I'll sit.
And he looks over his two shoulders at the knights in the corners of the room and says, "You may leave us." And they both salute and leave the room. So you are now alone with the Graf.
Amazing.
I believe I promised you a private conversation in regards to the Sigmarite faith and its position here in Middenheim.
Incredibly generously, yes, Lord.
He gets up and motions for you to remain seated. He starts pacing. He says, "This is not well known in the city, but I am a devout Sigmarite. It's something I have endeavored to hide from the Ulrican fanatics within the city. As you are no doubt aware, the relationship between the Ulrican and Sigmarite faiths here in Middenheim, the seat of Ulric's power in the Empire, is tenuous at best, and at its worst borders on a religious war.
I have felt this in my reasonably brief time in the city.
It saddens me that I am not able to openly express my religious views here in the city, but with the power that the Ulrican faith holds within the city, it is more in keeping with the interests of state to show them favoritism over the Sigmarite faith. And in fact, all other faiths. As a good man of the Empire, I should pay my dues at all the temples on their respective holy days. But here in this city, the city of the White Wolf, it is imperative that I show, at least outwardly, that Ulrich comes first.
I think I understand this. It is, but it is difficult. It is must be a difficult thing, and I'm not a statesman. I minister to the soul, and I have been fortunate enough to be blessed with working some of the strength and blessings and miracles of Sigmar here in our mortal plane. And I merely have been sent to find this out, so I am sure that the Father Stoltz will be glad to hear that deep within your soul that you are true to the faith of the Empire and true to the faith of us, of men. But I fear that my concern would be, as a priest, would be that, of course, the state is strong, but perhaps your soul is at risk to deny its truth in such a way. I have spoken well with the Den Father and, in fact, resolved many positive things about some regional issues we had with another priest of Ulrican faith. And since then, I have found more respect offered to myself and others of Sigmar day to day in the street.
Indeed, there may come a time where the Ulrican faith and the Sigmarite faith can march together side by side, as they should, in fact. And as you well know, brother, that Sigmar himself was a devout follower of Ulrich, and
of course we cannot deny it,
and was blessed by him by the eternal flame here in the city itself.
Of course.
I sincerely hope that day is not far off, and in those times I will be able to reveal my true patronage. I do. I am aware of the High Capitula's concerns in regards to my lack of preservation of my mortal soul. I too have become concerned in recent years, which is why I, in part, agreed to this meeting. Normally, I would do no such thing, but I believe that it is about time that I looked to my own spiritual well-being, and as such I am looking for a small chapel to be built somewhere within the grounds of the Midden Palace, so that I may make my obeisance to Sigmar in privacy.
This sounds very wise and blessed of you, and with the gift of the rats, it could become indeed a very holy place, perhaps even for pilgrimage one day.
Perchance. I will, of course, need to have the area consecrated by a priest of Sigmar. Perhaps if you could arrange for Father Stoltz to make a visit when the shrine is ready, and we can have him consecrate the ground.
He would be honored.
And he sort of... So he sits back down with a sort of note of finality, which sort of makes you feel like this meeting is done.
Yeah.
And as you sort of get up and you're bowing and preparing to leave, he sort of holds up a hand and says, I would, if I may crave another moment of your time, priest. It has been a long time since I have received blessing from a Sigmarite priest. You say that you are blessed by Sigmar himself.
I have worked with his power through mine. Yes.
And he comes round before you and kneels and says, "Please, I wish to receive Sigmar's blessings."
Read my mind. I was going to try and do one anyway. Cool. All right. Let's go for something. What can we do?
Big plays.
What was that?
Big, massive plays.
That's it. I'm actually going to try and go for the beacon of righteous virtue.
Nice.
Like a full-on miracle, like type prayer,
Yeah.
rather than just a blessing, rather a full-on whatever it is, right?
Yep.
Yeah. I'm going to try and go for the beacon of righteous virtue on him.
Perfect.
I'm going to use a pointed thing.
Don't want to fluff this one.
It's challenging, right?
It is challenging, yeah.
I am going to use my other pointed fortune.
Yep. Oh,
There we go.
Glorious.
That's what we
That's
want.
more like it.
glorious.
That's more like it. Fucking
That is
boom.
what we want.
Okay, so was it the beacon of righteous virtue?
Beacon of righteous virtue.
That is a miracle.
It is. I should have clicked that. Sorry, I should have actually clicked this.
That's all right. You've done the pray test. That's fine.
Yeah.
So
It is the same thing. It doesn't actually change. Yeah.
yeah. Let us see.
Well, I guess it's on me. I guess it's on me, but I can't target on him. But yeah.
He gains the fearless talent while the miracle's in effect. Nice.
And I guess with that level, it's like 5 levels of success. I'm going to make it last 5 times as long as it normally would.
Yep.
Which is fellowship bonus rounds. So fellowship bonus, I think, is 3. Yeah, so 15 rounds.
Oh,
Whatever that. I mean, that's like not actually that long in real life.
it's not actually that long in real life, but it's it's not a short amount of time.
It's not just like a little fleeting like oof. It's like that's proper like he feels Sigmar's power.
Yep. And he looks up at you and he sees you sort of emblazoned in this sort of holy fire.
Yeah.
This holy light, and he sort of he makes a sign of the twin tail comets and says, "Praise be, you are in fact blessed by Sigmar himself. This is a virtuous day. This is a grand day."
We are all blessed by Sigmar, and I'll pick him up.
Yep. and he thanks you yet again, and he then goes and sits back down at his desk, and the meeting is adjourned.
Yeah. And I'll bow and gang sign my way out of there.
Nice. Whew.
Nice.
Big stuff.
Fucking long-term ambition
Achieved.
Tick.
Nice.
We will do a sliding transition to Lucian.
Sliding transition.
It's a real shame that you didn't fluff that last roll, because I was getting prepped to click a Wrath of the Gods roll.
I was gonna say you were probably looking for.
It's like, oh,
Come up
Sigma
with some kind of significant punishment.
Sigma-
Oh, you were bragging in front of the thing, yeah.
cuts you off. Oh, that's a shame.
Yeah. He came through when I needed him most.
He did indeed. So, Lucian, you are back at the Guild of the Apothecaries, in one of the various laboratories, brewing up potions or whatever it might be.
Yeah, just part-time mixologist as well. Before we go back to Old Doff.
Yep.
Rest my lady.
And one of the other alchemists or apothecaries pokes their head in and says, Lucian,
Yes.
there is a royal page here to see you.
Intriguing. I shall come and see him. Now, I guess I'll follow the page to the boy.
No, an apothecary has come to find you. The page boy is outside.
I will follow the apothecary to the page boy.
Cool. So, this page boy's been sort of waiting in the sort of reception area of the guild hall, holding his nose because it stinks here.
I do apologize for the smell, but you get used to it. Otherwise, I suggest hanging around with dwarves for a while and you get used to it faster.
I shall take your word for it, sir. Are you Master Lucian?
Indeed.
I have a missive here from the Graf.
I'll just reach out to grab it. You said a missive, right?
Yes.
Yeah. I will grab it and give it a quick peruse, because I can read.
Because you can read.
Fancy with those words.
Look at Mr. I can read.
It is a note from the office of the Graf stating that a sizable donation has been made to the Commission for Health, Education and Welfare, and to the Shalian Temple to combat the diseases that are ravaging Nordland and the northern reaches of Midland, like the town of Albuitz. And that if you were so inclined, you could head on over to the Shalian Temple to speak with one of the priests there, and they will be able to inform you as to where this money will be spent, essentially, in terms of like what they'll be doing to try and combat this mysterious ailment.
Intriguing. Just like look at this page and be like, do you know what this says?
Me, sir? No, I've only just started learning my letters. I'm not that onto it just yet.
Ah, well, it says progress, my boy. How much copper did Johanna give his page boy?
2.
Okay, I'll give this guy 3.
He looks at it and sort of raises an eyebrow at you, and then as he does so, he sort of gets a strong whiff of something as one of the other apothecaries exits or enters a nearby laboratory, and his face sort of drains of color and he runs out.
So I get to keep my coins? Sweet.
No, he took the coins.
Ah, what a rat. What time is it roughly in this sort of scenario?
It's probably mid-morning.
Cool. I will probably just swing by my home quickly and change clothes so I don't smell like sulfur. And
Sounds good.
other rancid things. I will head to this Temple of Shalia.
Delightful. So the Temple of Shalia is in Westor. It is there. Alrighty. So
Can you ping it again?
It
Ping,
is
ping,
there.
ping. Oh, cool. Ping, 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 ping.
That's
Cool.
the one. Temple of Shalia. Alright. So it, as you approach, it's a small but rather well appointed temple. It's got gleaming marble facades, and as you enter, there is some rather beautifully painted frescoes.
Oh, delightful.
As Shalia is the goddess of healing, you are not surprised to see that there is a small sort of orphanage attached to the temple, just off to the side. And you can see that as you enter, and just off to the left, there is like a small, I guess like a free like doctor's clinic, but it's just a priestess that is running it.
Oh yeah, just a solo priestess, just doing the work, is she?
Yeah.
Sweet.
Yeah, like I'm a hit on that.
I mean, you know what they say about different postcodes. Is there any like, I don't even know, in a temple, is there like a receptionist, somewhere to check in?
No. You wander in, and it's very similar to I guess most of the other temples you've been in, except that this one, obviously all of the frescoes and whatnot are depicting Shalia doing various bits of healing, or protecting the meek and the feeble and all that sort of stuff.
Delightful. Is this solo healer, she busy at the moment? Is she with a client, or is she just chilling?
No, she's currently dealing with a peasant who has a rather infected-looking injury on their hand.
Alright, I will walk over to her, introduce myself, and see this chief's hand, and see what she's actually doing.
Cool. Make for me, please, a law. Have you got law medicine?
I sure do.
Cool. Make for me an average law medicine test, please. Cool. You see that she's doing all the right things. She is treating the wound with blessed water, and she is prepared, which you can see off to the side. It's not been put on yet, but she's prepared an unguent which you can smell just by your proximity. Has got the correct herbs that would be used to sort of leach infection out from a wound of this nature, which it looks like she's going to put onto it and then bandage up afterwards.
I'll be like, yes, excellent form. I'll grab out a bandage and get ready as like a sous chef of healing. What's that called?
A sous chef of healing. That's
nurse.
I know what you
think it's a
mean,
nurse.
but that's definitely not the right terminology.
I'll sort of let her finish up healing, and I'll provide a bandage and help her out if she needs an extra pair of hands, so she doesn't get sticky.
So, she casts an eye over to you as you start bandaging this wound when she's applied the unguent to it. She says, you a healer as well, sir?
To a degree, same end goal, different means, I suppose. My name is Lucian. I'm from the Apothecaries Guild. I here on work, actually, and I'll show her the missive.
Yeah.
So I was wondering if you could point me in the right direction, now that you have two hands.
She turns around to one side and washes her hands in a separate clean bowl of water, dries them off, and looks at this missive and says, yes, you'll want to speak with the High Matriarch. And she gets up and leads you into the temple proper.
I will follow respectable distance behind.
Cool. When you are probably about 2/3 of the way into the building, she sort of gestures for you to wait for a moment, and you can see that there is this lady up ahead who is currently giving a sermon about the Shalian faith, and she beckons for you to sit in one of the pews whilst you wait for her to finish.
I will take a seat and I'll bring out my notebook and just take some notes. Somewhat interested.
Cool. You learn a little bit of Shalian theology that you would otherwise not have known. You know, like as a man of the Empire, you would know probably the basics. This is one of the stories of Shalia that you hadn't heard before. And as she wraps up, the priestess beckons for you to rise and brings you forward and says, Matriarch, this is a member of the Apothecaries Guild. I believe he is here on work. He said his name was Lucian. And the High Matriarch says, yes. What was your character's name again? A surname?
That's a good question. Thorvald.
Thorvald, that's the one, yeah. Master Thorvald, I assume.
That is me, my lady.
The correct term is matriarch, but I will accept it. My name is Isolde.
Sincere apologies.
I am the High Matriarch of the Temple of Shalia here in Middenheim.
It is a pleasure to make your acquaintance.
I understand that you are to thank for the rather sizable donation that the Graf has recently bestowed upon us.
Wouldn't say that I am the one to thank, but I helped orchestrate this for sure. But it's definitely the Graf's generosity, his coin purse. So a lot of the things should go to him.
Well, blessings be upon you. And she will lay on hands and will
slap me.
Nah, she's going to use a point of fortune to make that a success.
Oh yeah.
She's going to give you the I mean, you don't have any, but she's going to give you the blessing of recuperation.
Sweet.
And she says, I understand that you have a particular interest in the disease that is ravaging the northern town of Albowitz.
I do. My travelling companions and I have been there for work, and we have seen the state of things. And we have seen that it doesn't look like it will be improving without outside intervention per se.
And it was, I believe, yourself and another who spoke with the Commission for Health in regards to the nature of this disease. They believe it is magical in its origin.
Indeed, it appears to be magical or curse-based rather than something of natural origins, which is frightening, to say the least.
Indeed. And from what you could tell, you could not determine the source of this magical ailment.
Not as yet. Our resources have been quite lacking, and the subjects who have been inflicted by such a curse have been difficult to study per se in their state. We don't have a lot of time between rational thinking and mindlessness.
Indeed.
And obviously we want to refrain from any permanent damage or injuries, so we haven't been overly aggressive with our approach.
I see. Well, with the assistance of the Commission and with the Grand Guild of Wizards, we have started doing some research into this disease. And she sort of very sort of gently sort of guides you off to a sort of a back room where you find there's another priest there. There's what appears to be a doctor, and then there is someone wearing wizard's robes, and another two individuals who you can't quite place what their role might be. And they appear to be this appears to be a laboratory not that dissimilar to the one that you were just in earlier.
Sweet.
We've the three organizations have set up a multiple laboratories like this one at our various institutions to try and determine the nature of this disease. And we have ascertained a name for it, if that will be of interest to you.
Couldn't hurt. What have you named this thing?
So far, we have called it the spotted green brain pox.
Somewhat on the nose, don't you think?
Well, we rather fortunately were able to have a specimen sent to us from Albowitz, who had recently deceased. And we were able to perform an autopsy on them, thanks to the doctor here, and determined that there was, in fact, the green bubos upon the brain itself. Hence the name.
Intriguing. And how pronounced were these pox? Surely they'd be applying pressure to the skull.
The doctor at this point chimes in. He says, yes, you're not wrong, good sir. The bubos were pressing on the skull and creating pressure upon the brain, which we believe is in part why the subjects were given over to this undeniable and unquenchable rage.
I can understand. It's, I guess, the compression of the blood in the surrounds be causing great damage to the brain itself.
Yes, that and also the pox. It appears to be choleric in nature. It is a misalignment of the humours. It's from what we could see, as you probably are well aware, it is spread through the infliction of injury upon another by one who is currently afflicted by this disease. So it appears to seep out through the pores once the infected have gestated for a number of hours.
Indeed, it is quick. We were in a battle where we bested some of the rabid inflicted, and some of the brave guards went down with this ailment relatively quickly, within a day.
Yes.
So it definitely appears to be bloodborne, or, as you say, spread this way.
Yes, indeed. It is quite a concern. As for the magical nature of it, well, I believe our wizard friend here can speak more to that. And the wizard at this point takes over. And he says, well, we've been able to determine that it is certainly a crafted disease. As to the nature of it, well, it's... he pauses and sort of looks at you, sort of peers at you for a moment, says, what do you know of the ruinous powers?
Do I know of the ruinous powers?
Make for me, please, a challenging intelligence test.
That's INT, right?
That is INT, correct. Nice.
So fucking smart.
You... That's not hard compared to Rain.
My god. Rain would have just offended all the gods and been smote on the steps.
Yeah, you know a bit more than the average layman. You know that there are 4 distinct powers. You wouldn't know their names, but you would know that there are 4 distinct sort of, I guess, flavors of chaos, if you will.
Oh, that's what it is. Chaotic.
Yeah, chaos. Yeah. So you wouldn't necessarily know the names of these 4 beings or these 4 different powers, but you know that like there's one which is all about bloodlust, and you know that there is one which is about lust and licentiousness, and you know that there is one that is all about disease and decay. And he says, well, one of the 4 ruinous powers is concerned with that of disease, decay, and the rotting of all living things. This disease appears to be, if not made by it, is made in its image. From what we can see from the tests that we have done, it is not necessarily a curse or a disease created by chaos, but it does mimic other known plagues of chaos that have occurred throughout the Empire in centuries past. The last known instance of something matching this sweeping through this area was several thousand years ago now.
Forgive my ignorance. This isn't the time of Babracos at all, is it? Or is it? The age you're speaking of is much, much earlier.
The age of Babracos. You might actually be right. When was Babracos last present in Middenheim? Cool. And so one of the other people in the room sort of says, "Oh, it was before the coming of Sigmar," and he sort of does some quick mental arithmetic and says, it might actually align. I wouldn't say necessarily if it's the same time, but it wouldn't be far off.
The reason I bring up this cursed name is we found some similarities to necromantic behavior in the surrounds. Skeletons raised from the dead joining the army of the afflicted. And they appear to be originating from some central locations from the story of Babracos. That is why I bring up his name.
Indeed. Right. Well, I guess you might have to look more into the legend of Babracos to determine that fully, but that does concern... Well, the time period does match up. The last known instance of this plague afflicting the people here of Middenheim was shortly before the coming of Sigmar to the Two Togans, and around that time was definitely around the time that Babracos was, if not first, plaguing the people of Middenheim. He certainly had been a recent evil, so I wouldn't be surprised if there is some link there.
It appears to be. I would ask you, as you obviously can see that I'm an apothecary. I'm not so much a intellectually studied man outside of my field. I don't have access to such books and lore about things like this, but as a wizard, would you have access to some repositories of knowledge that we may be able to access with your blessing or permission, I suppose?
Make for me, please, a average charm test.
So charming.
So
Doctor,
charming.
like Mick Steamy coming in hard.
All right. The wizard sort of looks at you and says, "Well, I do believe one of our organization, Heike von Schwartz, has already been hard at work searching through our archives to try and find any information about Babrikos. I believe she might be able to provide you with more information."
That is where she would have been over the last few days. She is one of our group, I suppose. I just haven't been able to catch up with her, so that's convenient.
Indeed. Well, she would certainly be the best person to ask at this point in time. She certainly will have been, she's been hunting through our archives and that of the Collegium Theologica for the better part of 2.5 weeks now, trying to find all lore that she can on Babrikos.
That is excellent news.
Yes, well, you have certainly piqued my interest. We might actually have to go and assist her in that, or at least find out what she has learned. Because, well, if this is some sort of precursor to the return of Babrikos, well, I believe that the Graf will need to be warned.
Indeed, and with such nature of this, any information that I find, I will duly present to all of you. I would ask that you would provide me the same respect, if that's at all possible.
Of course. And where was it that you were? We could find you.
You can just tell her my address.
Marvelous. Cool.
Or
Alright.
you can swing by my office. Either way.
Of course. Well, thank you for dropping by, and I guess thank you again for the donation that the Graf has made in your name. It will definitely go a long way to assisting our research into this disease.
It is my pleasure. I have personal stakes involved in this one as well. But one last request before we do go, if I may push so far.
Do go on.
Just the name of this disease just doesn't sit right with me. Given the situation is in Albowitz, and this does have some bulbous pustules, might we change the name to Alberwarts?
How long have you been sitting on that one?
Since this started.
Spicy. Hilarious.
Oh, dearie me.
Colloquially, at least. It would give me great joy in such a troubling time.
The High Matriarch sort of shakes her head and chuckles and says, "Shall his blessings be upon you, young man."
And you as well. And I will provide them the pleasantries. A flourishing wave. And I will head off.
Oh, you've been sitting on that one for a while. I could feel it.
Oh yeah, it was great. As soon as you said that this was like pustules in the brain, it's like, hang on a minute.
Oh dear. Well, that's all I have got for this evening, lady and gentlefolk.
Hey. Law.
Yeah, all good.
Thank you.
A bit of
Yeah.
bit of fluff to fill out the quest log.
Yep.
I guess, Alex, you've technically completed your long-term goal.
Major thing, yeah, I have.
So that is a grand total of 500 experience for yourself.
Excellent. That's pretty cool.
That's
I
not...
am on negative 95 at the moment because we did that thing where I just sort of like manually changed the.
That's right. I needed to fix that up, and I haven't done.
Yeah.
make a note of that for myself to fix that up.
And I was going to tell you, I've got a sort of an idea, potentially a little bit, in terms of I'm contemplating changing careers. I would be fairly close to actually achieving all the minimum things I need to for this.
Okay.
Not permanently, but I mean that's the whole thing is you can change careers lots if you want.
Yes.
You know, it's not like it doesn't have to be a permanent thing.
Yep.
But I was potentially contemplating changing to one of the other warrior classes for a bit.
Yeah, right.
Going to go and fight, a bit more possibly, but I'll see what I think.
Yeah, easy. That. Well, we can definitely discuss that. Yeah, that's easy. We can do that as a downtime activity. Cool.
Just before we do wrap up, would you say that we would have all reconvened and discussed what we've learned? Or?
I would assume that this evening your party would reconvene and converse and chat about all of
Actually, yeah, because I actually had some ideas. My character has been doing some thinking anyway.
Yeah.
Separate to me coming back to tell the priests for the group.
Yeah.
Which, interestingly, it actually lines up quite well with going off to kill a bunch of orcs.
Wonderful.
The reason I ask is my short-term ambition is to learn a weighty secret. Has a weighty secret been learned?
I don't believe any of. Well,
I mean, when I tell them that the Graf's actually a Sigmar weeb, not an Auric weeb, that's probably
that's a weighty
secret. As shit.
Yeah.
Yes.
Weighty boy.
That's a pretty heavy secret, I reckon.
Yeah. I would say that's a weighty secret. So I will say that you have completed that short-term goal then.
Oh yeah. How much XP do I get?
That's a great question. How much do you get for a short-term goal? I think it's
100, if I recall correctly. I might be wrong though.
Oh, I've got the book here. It is bring your character to life. Oops, I've gone too far. Short-term ambitions. 50 XP.
Sweet.